It's currently night 19 in the game with the sun slowly rising, meaning only 10 days remain in the game. Brooke and Divin chat side by side about how crazy it is they both stayed. Divin was sure he was out when it tied, and he's still very confused by this all. Brooke asks him if anyone had a clue she had the idol, and he says he thinks everyone was shocked by it. Brooke laughs and says the two of them can now take control of this game as the underestimated duo. Everyone should take a shot at each other and leave the two of them alone. Nicola and Kiana chat, amazed that they were able to keep Kunjan alive despite the Brooke idol play. Nicola says all of Kunjan understood the assignment last night. They stuck to their guns and made sure an exo Kunjan went home. Kiana says she just couldn't trust Aaron. He approached her with an alliance, but she knew he was more loyal to his old tribe. It's evident through the revote since they all tried keeping him. She's mainly surprised Rokio flipped. Maybe he didn't, but in that case, someone from their Kunjan crew would have had to have flipped. Nicola says they'll hold more conversations with people tomorrow to see what really happened. Meanwhile, Cindy and B. Marie feel awful after last vote. B. Marie feels like her worst nightmare is playing out with Brooke staying and Aaron going. Cindy sighs and says Aaron was a good guy. It's unfortunate he went out the way he did. B. Marie claims they need to figure out if the lines are now drawn, or if ex-Kunjan is still working with them to get out Brooke and Divin. Cindy hopes they will work with them to vote those two out since they need more numbers before flipping on the Kunjan people. B. Marie thinks Neil is still locked in with Okunjan. She is pretty sure Neil voted Divin while Rokio likely voted with Kiana to take out Aaron in the revote. They need to make sure they keep that relationship solid with Neil so he plays as a double agent. Cindy later chats with Neil, asking him where he voted, and he confirms he did in fact vote for Divin in the revote. Cindy says this is perfect since he can act loyal to Kunjan and fish for information from them. Neil likes the sound of this but is worried about Kiana since she's good at reading people. She might be able to figure out that Rokio voted with Kunjan, so he'll have to do what he can to prevent them from trusting Rokio. Cindy says this is a good plan and splits off from him. Kiana, Clever, and Rokio talk around a fire pit about who voted where, and Rokio says he voted Aaron out. Kiana smiles and asks Clever where they voted, and Clever says they obviously voted Aaron since there was zero relationship there, unlike with Divin. Kiana says someone obviously flipped since there were only 6 votes and 7 people claiming they voted Aaron. If none of the 3 of them flipped, that leaves Nicola, Telly, Neil, and Brooke. Brooke obviously voted Aaron, and Nicola said she voted Aaron. Rokio throws out that Telly may have flipped because she's working with Ryan, but Kiana doesn't feel like Telly would have dropped the girls for him. She should be aware that she has no control if she works with Okunjan. Rokio says they just need to stay strong and potentially work with Divin and Brooke now since Okunjan is on high alert. Telly chats with Neil since they have been pretty close since the start. Telly admits she's finding it difficult to crunch the numbers right now because there are so many people on the tribe. Clearly, someone didn't vote with them, and she's thinking Rokio flipped back to Okunjan. Neil admits to her he flipped because he had a closer relationship to Okunjan on a game level. They want him to hide the fact that he flipped so he can act as a double agent, but he's not sure yet if that's the right play. Telly firstly thanks him for telling her this, and she feels like this is a great opportunity for them to play both sides. He should tell both sides he voted with them so that nobody touches him and he gets all the information they need. Neil likes this idea and says he'll put on his lying face and tell Kunjan he voted with them. They'll probably assume Rokio flipped in that case, which is fine with him. Nicola later confronts Telly, assuming she is the most likely to have flipped on Kunjan to vote with Okunjan last vote. Telly defends herself though, claiming that she had no reason to keep Aaron for her individual game. Nicola asks Telly though to tell her the truth so they can move on from this, but Telly says she would be lying if she said she voted Divin. Nicola isn't satisfied and tells Telly it doesn't make sense for anyone else to have flipped, but Telly asks her if she considered Rokio. Nicola doesn't think Rokio did it because he doesn't have allies on the other side, but Telly tells Nicola to reconsider that thought because she's trusting Rokio's word way too easily. It makes the most sense that he flipped and she's choosing to trust Rokio over her, despite them being together since day one. Nicola sighs and says she won't hold that re-vote against anyone because it makes the most sense for them to work together rather than against each other. It's day 20, and it's time for the next immunity challenge. Everyone sees 2 necklaces, so they are assuming it might be a double elimination tonight. Justin says they are correct and claims that tonight will be a little bit different. Everyone will be split into 2 random groups of 6. Each group will have 1 person win immunity, and then tonight, all 12 people will vote twice at Tribal Council when they go up to vote. They must vote someone from Group 1, and someone from Group 2. Then, the votes will be revealed for each group, and 2 people in total will be eliminated before the night is over. That means they are going from 12 people to just 10. Justin asks Allison, B. Marie, and Cindy to hand back the necklaces, so they follow through. He then gets into the rules for this challenge. In this, they must all simply hold a statue in the palm of their hand and avoid dropping it. They cannot grip onto the statue. They must let it balance on their hand. As time goes on, they will switch to a smaller statue, making it harder to keep it balanced. The last person standing from both groups will both win immunity for tonight. Everyone then draws for groups and stand on their side. On red, we have Clever, Rokio, Kiana, Nicola, Cindy, and Divin. On the black side, we have Allison, B. Marie, Ryan, Neil, Telly, Brooke. The challenge then commences a little after, and everyone focuses on balancing their statue. Everyone seems to be doing well, but the heat might get to some people soon. As one of the rules, they are only allowed 1 foot flat on the ground. The other foot can't remain flat on the ground. Telly is the first to drop out, meaning the black side has 5 people remaining. Allison's statue begins to wobble, and it eventually falls over, meaning she is the second person out from her side. Brooke also gets eliminated after accidentally gripping onto her statue. This leaves 3 people on the black side, and still all 6 from the red side. Divin is then the first to drop from red, and Nicola loses focus right next to him, also dropping her statue. We're down to Clever, Rokio, Kiana, and Cindy from red, and then B. Marie, Ryan, and Neil from black. Ryan begins to wobble his statue and tries his best to keep it balanced. He continues to wobble for a while but hangs in there. Unfortunately for Clever, they drop their statue next, so they are out. It's down to 6, all hanging on for at least an hour now. The statues are now smaller after a quick transition, and Ryan is the first to drop afterwards. Rokio, Kiana, and Cindy seem to be going strong on their side, and it's proven as Neil drops from the black side, which means B. Marie wins first immunity out of 2. This leaves Rokio, Kiana, and Cindy fighting for immunity on their side. Their statues are now much smaller, making it easier to drop it by even the smallest of wobbles. Rokio doesn't last too long and drops his statue, leaving Kiana and Cindy in this challenge. The 4 on the red side who got out now whisper to each other, worried that Cindy will win immunity. She's their only option to vote out from their side, so they need Kiana to pull through. Kiana and Cindy continue holding on to their statues, and both start to sweat a lot. Cindy starts making weird faces to keep her statue from falling, trying not to move an inch. Kiana breathes heavily as the heat starts to bother her even more. Kiana's statue then drops suddenly, meaning Cindy has 1 individual immunity on the red side. As a result, nobody is allowed to vote for Cindy when casting a vote for someone on red, and nobody is allowed to vote for B. Marie when casting a vote for someone on black. Everyone else is fair game. They all then head back to camp for the next round of strategy chats. Back at Jan's camp, Telly and Neil quickly chat before going to anyone else to confirm what they should do today. Neil thinks they should just push for Brooke and Divin to be the targets to keep everyone happy, and Telly agrees. They quickly split off then, Telly promising she won't leak his double agent position to anyone. At the fire pit, there's an awkward discussion between the red side plus Ryan as Ryan asks them if they have a preference for anyone to go. Clever throws out that at this point, they should just come together and vote Brooke again because she's clearly the easy option. Ryan asks about the other vote, which would need to be one of the four of them or Kiana, but nobody wants to throw out a name. Nicholas speaks up and says it's naturally going to be awkward since things would have been easier if Cindy lost immunity. Ryan reminds the group that he's not necessarily tight with the Okunjan girls, so if they need his vote for anything, he's up for grabs. Allison and Brooke later chat as Allison tries to figure out who Brooke is voting tonight. Brooke straight up says she is a free agent, so she's willing to do whatever, as long as she survives tonight. Allison then sees the opportunity to use her as a vote, so she tells her to vote Neil to keep the ladies strong. She fills Brooke in that the women should protect each other for a little longer. Brooke asks if the women are an official alliance, but Allison says it's more of an unspoken word. She assumes two guys will go tonight, that being Neil from their own side and potentially Divin or Rokio from the other. Brooke straight up says she's not voting Divin tonight because it's dumb for her game, but she'll gladly vote for Neil for their side. Allison later talks with Telly, telling her that she name-dropped Neil to Brooke just to use her for a split vote. They need to keep the girls and Ryan safe from their side, so Neil has to be the backup. In terms of the target, it's of course Brooke. Telly then mentions how she has been thinking about the vote for Red, and she feels like they need Rokio out to cut him from Kiana. Allison is fully down for this since she admits she couldn't trust Rokio from the jump. The only guy she trusts is Ryan. Telly then says they can spread the word that the votes will be going towards Brooke and Rokio tonight. Cindy and B. Marie also talk about voting Brooke and Rokio out. Cindy thinks they need two split votes in case of idols, so it's obviously Divin from Red and potentially Neil from their own side. B. Marie doesn't feel like they should split on Neil though because he's a solid ally for them. But as she runs that thought back and says they literally have no other good option. This is because B. Marie feels close with Telly on a personal and game level, so she doesn't want to ruin that right now. Divin in the meantime chats with Brooke, telling her that in order to save each other, they need to vote the people who are fully against them and sway the people who aren't sure where they might go. Hence, they need Clever out tonight from his side since Clever is trying to lead the votes on to Brooke. Brooke scoffs and is fully on board with this. However, she's also aware that Rokio is getting a lot of votes, so it might be smarter to stick to the numbers rather than coming up with a brand new plan. Divin thinks they'll be able to get votes on Clever though, so he will try it nevertheless. As for her side, they need to push for Allison since Kunjan will probably be down with that. But Brooke says she disagrees once again because she personally feels like Neil is the better move since apparently the girls want to stay strong. Divin says he would rather vote Ryan in that case because he's too close to Telly. Neil on the other hand isn't really much of a threat. Brooke sighs, feeling like Divin is no help to her right now. Kiana later chats with Neil as Neil fills her in that Rokio is getting a lot of heat tonight for the flip he made last tribal. Kiana doesn't really agree with this move because she swears she has Rokio in her back pocket, but Neil tells her to think again because nobody is here to sheep anyone. He has his own game and will do whatever he can to stay alive. Kiana asks why they can't just vote for Divin or Clever tonight since they are both weaker allies than Rokio, but Neil says he feels wrong keeping Rokio, someone who actively flipped against them to work with Okunjan. Kiana isn't sure what to do tonight, really feeling like they are making the wrong move here. B. Marie later catches up with Allison as they are both strong allies with Cindy and Ryan, so their goal is to try to keep her and Ryan safe tonight. B. Marie tells Allison that their side's vote is quite obvious, which is Brooke. Allison says she's voting Neil tonight to split the vote in the case of an idol play, but otherwise Brooke is going home for sure. B. Marie then says that they need Rokio gone from Red, and Allison agrees with that. B-Marie simply can't trust Rokio as he has every right to flip on her down the line. She betrayed him back on season 2, so revenge has probably been on his mind since. Allison says the red vote seems to be between him, Divin, and Clever, but it's most likely him tonight. Both of them hug as they feel really good about their positions moving forward, being in a tight Okunjin alliance and a strong girls alliance. Night 20 arrives, so everyone arrives to tribal council and sit down on their designated sides. Justin congratulates Cindy and B-Marie for their deserved immunity wins, and they both thank him. Justin asks B-Marie if she felt like she really needed that necklace, and B-Marie says that the necklace is always needed. This game is very unpredictable, so moves can be made behind people's backs. Justin then turns to Telly, asking her how she feels about the twist that split the tribe in two, and Telly admits it's scary because there's a 1 in 5 chance of going home for everyone except B-Marie and Cindy. Brooke disagrees and says she already got 9 votes last tribal, so her own odds of going are probably 4 out of 5. Nobody likes her here, which she doesn't understand, but she doesn't care what people think of her. At least she can go home and enjoy herself while the rest have to stay out here and suffer. Everyone turns to Brooke and most people scoff in reaction to that. Justin asks Rokio if Brooke really is going home from the black side, and Rokio says it's possible. Brooke then comments back, saying it's also possible Rokio is going home. Rokio doesn't react and stays quiet. Justin then asks Divin if last tribal was a wake-up call for him, and Divin says he always knew he would be a target for people in this merge. It's unfortunate that he's experiencing the exact same treatment as his first season. B-Marie speaks up and says it isn't fair for him to say that they treat him poorly because it's his fault for not being a trustworthy player. Divin asks B-Marie what he specifically did to her, and B-Marie says he's very erratic and leaks way too much information. Divin asks what information he leaked, but B-Marie ends the conversation and says she would rather just stop talking and let other people speak. Divin shakes his head and says it's evident people are making things up just to make him the easy target. It's sad that people are letting people like B-Marie make up these lies about him just to skate by. B-Marie rolls her eyes but remains quiet. Justin asks Kiana what her thoughts are on this drama, and Kiana says she does feel bad when Divin is treated in a way like he doesn't exist. Of course it's a game, but sometimes it's unnecessary to do these things to him. B-Marie squints and looks at Kiana, telling her she didn't even do anything wrong to Divin. Cindy also jumps in, asking Kiana to provide examples of how people treated Divin poorly, and Kiana then asks why they are getting so heated over this. Cindy says they aren't heated and are just genuinely curious where these claims are coming from. Divin says that he doesn't appreciate gaslighters, and he gets gaslighting energy right next to him. B-Marie flips her hair and says that she's ready to vote, so Justin reminds everyone that they will go up one at a time and vote twice. They must vote someone from the red side, and someone from the black side. After that, the results for the black side will be revealed first since they lost the challenge before red did. Once someone from black leaves, the red side's results will be revealed. With that, it's time to vote.
I'll tally the votes. I will start with the black side, so if anyone has a hidden immunity idol and they want to play it, now would be the time to do so. Alright, I'll read the votes. First vote. Neil. Ryan. Neil. 2 votes Neil. Ryan. We're tied, 2 votes Neil, 2 votes Ryan. Brooke. Brooke. Tied again, 2 votes Brooke, 2 votes Neil, 2 votes Ryan. Brooke. That's 3 votes Brooke. Brooke. 4 votes Brooke. Brooke. That's 5 votes Brooke, 2 votes Ryan, 2 votes Neil. 11th person voted out of Survivor Second Chances, Brooke.
Brooke gets up out of her seat and lets out a curse word. Everyone else on her side either smiles or cringes. On the other side, everyone is unfazed as they feel anxious for the next vote reveal. Brooke puts her torch down and Justin snuffs it. She heads out in silence, and Justin tells the rest that he will now get on with the next vote reveal for the red side.
If anyone has a hidden immunity idol and they want to play it, now would be the time to do so. Alright, I'll read the votes. First vote. Rokio. Rokio. That's 2 votes Rokio. Divin. 2 votes Rokio, 1 vote Divin. Clever. Clever. 2 votes Rokio, 2 votes Clever, 1 vote Divin. Clever. That's 3 votes Clever. Rokio. 3 votes Rokio, 3 votes Clever, 1 vote Divin. Rokio. That's 4 votes Rokio, 3 votes Clever, 1 vote Divin. Rokio. 5 votes Rokio. Twelfth person voted out of Survivor Second Chances. Rokio.
B. Marie grins as she hears Rokio's name and Rokio gets up, blindsided by the result. Kiana meanwhile looks down, feeling guilty for voting Rokio out. Telly sighs in the corner as Rokio was framed for something he didn't do and got out as a result of it. Rokio puts his torch down next to Justin, thanking him for letting him come back. Justin smiles and snuffs Rokio's torch. Rokio then turns to the rest, letting them know they all made the correct move because he had an idol hidden from them since the swap. B. Marie and Cindy immediately react in shock, and so do Nicola and Kiana. Kiana then whispers to Nicola that they could have saved him by warning him about the votes, and Nicola sighs. Rokio heads out with his head held up high, and Justin lets the final 10 know they can head back to camp, so they make their way out of tribal council. Next time on Survivor's Second Chances. With Brooke finally out of the game, people begin to realize that there's no safe and secure vote for everyone on the tribe. Will Divin be targeted simply because he's an easy vote? Or will new targets arise? Plus, at the reward challenge, the winner will be able to pick either Brooke or Rokio to join the jury, while the other goes home for good. A major storm is brewing within the game, so you do not want to miss out on Thursday's nerve-wracking episode. Brooke's final thoughts. Brooke finds it hilarious that nobody trusted her. She was such an easy number to scoop up, yet neither side wanted her. She at least got to play 2 idols correctly and take out 2 massive threats. Tanner and Aaron are 2 big dudes, so perhaps everyone else was afraid if she got to the end with those moves that she could claim. Brooke jokes that she hopes Mother Nature ends the season early so that nobody can win. She won't be contacting anyone outside the game. As for Rokio's final thoughts, they couldn't be recorded as Rokio was too emotional to speak due to the tribal council blindside.